বৰঠাকুৰ IAS একাডেমি প্ৰস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা।
Hello everyone, this is Funny. Welcome to Bhorthakur IAS Academy. This is our daily Hindu analysis class for 15th September 2021. Let us begin with the first article without any further delay. So the first article for today is no firm commitment from India on net zero Kerry. So John Kerry has been appointed as the US envoy on climate change. Right? He is in India. Recently we announced that we are going to cooperate with United States in building our renewable energy capacity to somewhere between 870 or 820 gigawatts. So that is other thing we discussed in detail, what the NDCs are, what net zero emissions are, and where India stands. So now this is kind of the official thing. We, or at least the Indian government has said that the net zero emission goal is not the only priority for Indian government. That is what our official statement has been to the US climate envoy. So why are we saying this? Again, we discussed this in large periods of time. Let us understand what net zero is. Net zero is nothing but carbon neutral goal, being able to be carbon neutral by 2050. The idea is that that would help or ensure that global warming is held at 1.5 degrees Celsius. And again, the COP26 summit is going to happen in UK in November. Recently there is this climate report that came, and again there are a lot of issues and discussion that is taking place in regards to climate change and the impact of climate change and the impact it is going to have on people where they are going to be displaced because of climate change. Now, as I said earlier, just to give you a refresher, India does not consider net zero goal its only priority at present. This is what our government has officially conveyed to the US envoy on climate change, in essence to the US government. Again, see, this discussion is a little bit complicated. It is a little bit nuanced in the sense that we have to understand where our concerns come from. Majority of the countries that have committed themselves or have committed for the net zero goal are already developed nations. They have gone through that industrialization phase. They are industrialized economies. They have gone through that process. As far as India is concerned, it is neither here nor there. So by giving a commit to net zero emission, the fear is that we are going to curtail our own growth. But there are arguments for both sides. We have discussed the other side where we said that India has more to gain by committing to net zero emissions goal than not committing to it. But nonetheless, this is him saying that India has not given its word and no firm commitment came from the Indian government on its ability to commit to net zero emissions by 2050. Now moving on to the next article. See, India UK to begin trade talks from November 1st. So free trade agreement is an important trade agreement that two countries signed. Recently we had a bit of a bump in terms of achieving a free trade agreement with the American side, because out of nowhere they retracted from the negotiation, stating that they are no longer interested in pursuing a free trade agreement with India. This is forcing our government or our ministry, finance ministry, to explore an individual good based or item based agreement or sector based agreement with the Americans in terms of trade. That is one issue. The second thing is, let us look at the impact of pandemic had on India. Our economy is struggling right now, and it is the same with the UK also. In comparison to India, UK is still faring a little bit better, but they have their own issues and challenges in the form of the Brexit, where they lost the access to unified market, the unified European market, and they are also looking towards India to cover the gap that has been, or at least fill the gap that has been created by the Brexit referendum. Now again, this is just the beginning of negotiations. If and when these trade agreements come into force, this would be beneficial for both of our countries. India has certain concerns in terms of agricultural products and dairy products, where UK is asking for certain considerations in terms of fair, meaning the tariff that is put on agriculture and dairy products. But nonetheless, this is a good sign in terms of ensuring an FTA with India and United Kingdom. Remember, a trade agreement would ensure free and fair market access to both the countries, meaning it goes both ways. It is not one way, it goes both ways. The worry with the FTA is that the segments or the sectors that your country is strong in might face certain challenges from other countries' sector. That's the biggest worry for us. It's the agricultural market and the dairy market. But again, this is still the initial phase. We have to wait for more details to emerge. Then, if and when we have certain concrete information in regards to this FTA, we'll certainly allocate respectable time to discuss what FTA is, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages. Till the time, this is just an awareness point of view. Now moving on to the next article. Now moving on to economy, RBI and Monetary Authority of Singapore have linked or have inked a pact, or they are going to announce a pact that unifies their fast payment system with us. For us, the fast payment system is UPI. Right, it is India's mobile-based fast payment system, and it allows people to create their own ID, and this allows transactions 24/7 without any delay. And remember, this is a very low cost payment system that found success in India. This is one that has been launched by the government of India through the NCPI organization. And you have Beam, you have Google Pay, you have Paytm, and most of the payment systems use this architecture in their mobile payment systems. Similarly, Malaysia also has a fast payment system which is low cost, which is fast, called PayNow. Now, India and Singapore are in talks to link both of these payment services. What this allows? This allows instant, low cost, cross border fund transfer, meaning the funds can be transferred at a very low cost and in an instant between Singapore and in India. And not only that, the payments will be facilitated, or transfer of funds will be facilitated between both of these payment services. You can transfer money from UPI to PayNow, and similarly you can transfer funds from PayNow accounts to UPI accounts. Now this UPI PayNow linkage, what will be the use of it? It will allow users, right, to make instant transfers between both of these accounts irrespective of their geography, whether they are a Singapore based account or an Indian based account. Not only that, this allows or increases the speed and reduces the time delay between transfer of funds between both of our countries. This will save transfer fees. Not only that, this will enable peer-to-peer fund transfer services, which is again advantageous for us, because the easier the payment mechanism is, the better for business. That is how you have to look at it. Now the idea is that this linkage will be operationalized by July 2022, but nonetheless this means that UPI is going kind of international by linking up with other fast payment services. Moving on to the next article, partners in the Indo-Pacific. So this is an international relations topic. This editorial talks about India and Australia relation, how both the countries are engaging. Now, before going into this article, let us understand two things first. The 2+2 dialogue is between two important ministries of India, engaging with the same ministerial counterparts from Australia. For us, this 2+2 involves, or at least with the Australian side, involves Indian Defence Ministry and External Affairs Ministry. Our Defence Minister and our External Affairs Minister engaged with Australia's Defence Minister and Australia's External Affairs Minister. So that is the 2+2 dialogue, or the 2+2 ministerial meet, and that we have with the Americans, that is the US. Now we are trying one to establish with the Russians too. Now the second part of it, what are the three important areas, or at least what are the important areas for India and Australia in terms of bilateral engagement? The primary one is shared values. We share similar values. We want same things from the world, in the sense that the rules-based order that Australia envisages is also the same thing that India wants, in the sense that we need a rule-based world order that respects each and every individual country's sovereignty and rights. The second thing, what we need in terms of alignment of interests is a free and open Indo-Pacific region, which is inclusive and which is open. The second thing that both of these countries want is a free, open, inclusive and rule-based Indo-Pacific region, right? The third important area that India and Australia need to engage and are engaging is trade and commerce cooperation. So these are the three primary focus points in the bilateral relation between India and Australia. This 2+2 inaugural meet counterparts, where our defense minister met their defense minister and the external affairs minister met external affairs minister, both of them together in the sense, is to ensure that the three common goals that both of our countries share materializes into a physical, actionable plan or a agreement. That is where, when we say that we need to engage in terms of trade, possibly a trade deal, possibly a free trade agreement. Remember, recently the ex-Prime Minister of Australia was in India to finalize a trade agreement which was on hold for a long period of time. That is how both of our countries are engaging, right? We need a rule-based order. We need a peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific which is open. Not only that, our security interests also align vis-a-vis China. Along with that, trade and commerce are also an important component of both of our countries' engagement. Now, as a part of bilateral engagement, both of our countries have elevated our bilateral strategic partnership to a comprehensive strategic partnership in June of 2020. In June of 2020, given the global scenario, given the pandemic and multiple other issues, both of our countries decided to elevate our engagement, right? You had the Quad in the offing. Not only that, in line with Quad, we wanted to engage and enhance our cooperation and communication with Australia. That is why we elevated our bilateral strategic partnership that we had with them to a comprehensive strategic partnership in June of 2020. As I said, both of our countries have an enduring interest in free, inclusive and rule-based Indo-Pacific region, not only in terms of trade but also in terms of security, right? Insert China here. They have also stepped up security dialogue with key partner countries to deepen coordination in areas where security interests are mutual. So the idea is that we are engaging with other partner countries so that we deepen our coordination with them in areas where our mutual security interests are aligned, right? You have China in the Indo-Pacific region. It is using its navy muscle to intimidate other countries in the region in terms of their claims, in terms of resources in the South China Sea and whatnot. So when you look at it from that perspective, you have all these smaller countries that are actually become victims of Chinese aggression. That is where both India and Australia are coordinating with those countries to deepen our coordination further in terms of security matters. This is where our interest lies. Our interest lies in a free, fair free, open Indo-Pacific, right? And when China is using aggressive tactics on other countries, we need to engage with those countries who are falling victim to Chinese action, so that our ability to counter any of future threats increases multiple folds. And that is how both the countries are engaging. Coming to the Quad part of it, recently we conducted the Malabar Naval Exercise, which involved all the Quad partners, these Australia, India, Japan, and the US. And this is a step in that direction. This is where we are trying to reassure countries in the region that there is a security alignment happening, or there is a security uh, grouping that is happening, and we want you to be a part of it too. But remember, there are certain limitations on Quad, where the Quad, we are saying that it is not a security grouping, but nonetheless, our interests in terms of regional security, in terms of Indo-Pacific strategy, that aligns very well with that of the Australian side. That is one area of cooperation that both the countries are actively engaging on. The second is trade between India and Australia. Right? Recently, the trade between both of our countries has seen a remarkable growth, right, in the recent years, where our two-way trade between both of us is valued at 24.4 billion in 2020. And if it is done in a right way, and if there is a free trade kind of an agreement between both of our countries, that trade is going to increase further. See, India is not only the one of the largest economies in the world, but we are currently going through an economic transformation, right? Trade is rapidly growing, and it encompasses agribusiness, right? See, these are the areas that both the countries are interested in engaging with each other. What are those areas? Agribusiness, infrastructure, healthcare, energy and mining, education, artificial intelligence, big data, and fintech. These are the areas or the sectors that both the countries are interested in engaging with each other. Whatever the trade deal that both the countries are negotiating currently right now, lay a major emphasis on these sectors: the healthcare, the energy and mining. Particularly, energy and mining is one important area that both the countries are looking forward to increase their cooperation and share of technology. See, the bilateral comprehensive economic cooperation agreement between both the countries is being ironed out right now. An early conclusion of this bilateral agreement is a sure way of ensuring increase of trade between both of our countries. It is not a one-way trade, but a true two-way trade. But here is the issue. There are some old issues that hamper our deeper economic integration with Australia. One area is India's high tariff regime for agriculture and dairy products. We discussed in earlier class how protectionistic policy India adopted when it comes to its agricultural and dairy products. So when Australian exporters want to export these items to India, because of this high tariff regime, it becomes difficult for them to export these items to Indian market. So that is one area where there is some sort of a standoffish issue that goes between both of our countries. Once you overcome that, the economic integration is going to happen, whether it happens in a rapid pace or a slow pace. But given the current scenario, given the mutual alignment of mutual interest, that economic integration is going to happen in a very fast manner. But the problem is, we need to resolve the old issues that are acting as barrier to our economic integration. Now remember, we share similar values. At the first beginning of this article, I told you that we share both common interests in terms of beliefs and morals. In the sense that we are democracies, we respect international laws, and we believe that there should be an equality between nations irrespective of their size and strength, where one country respects other countries' sovereignty and independence. That is how, or this is where both the countries' values are similar. We are looking for similar values from the world and working towards this. Time is ripe for these countries to deliberate on Quad Plus framework where our geopolitical and geoeconomic interests are aligned. They are suggesting that India and Australia should work on enhancing whatever they have already with the Quad grouping and make it a Quad Plus framework. So this is this article in short, where both the countries share three similar interests in terms of values, in terms of free Indo-Pacific or free and open Indo-Pacific region from the security aspect of it. 3. Trade and commerce. So these are the three areas of interest that India and Australia are engaging with each other through the 2+2 ministerial dialogue. Thank you. Stay safe. Namaste.
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS একাডেমি প্ৰস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা।
বৰঠাকুৰ IAS একাডেমি।